In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to position background objects on your Elementor Pro website. Now, I know a lot of you guys have probably struggled with this in the past, but it's not going to be an issue no more once you watch this video. So this is what we're going to be creating. Now, as you can see, we have this object here perfectly aligned in the corner of this section. And it's all completely responsive. Now, I know some of you guys are probably thinking that I just uploaded this image and I just aligned it properly. But if I did that and I went over to inspect and I just started to adjust this, you will notice that my object here is perfectly responsive and it stays in the corner no matter what. Now, if this was a background image completely, it would be getting cut off, it would be moving all over the place, and it wouldn't stay in the corner of this section. But as you can tell, it is, and it works perfectly here. Now, I'll be going over how you can go ahead and do this, and it's a really cool solution that I know you guys are gonna love. And you guys are finally not gonna struggle with this anymore, because I know that clients ask for this sort of stuff all the time. And I just wanted to share this with you guys, and hopefully you guys do enjoy it. If you do, please make sure to like the video for the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my videos just like this one. I'm going to be uploading a similar video to this where I maybe have an object in the middle and I show you guys how you can position that and where it's always going to be responsive. Now, I hope you guys really enjoy. So first and foremost, we need to go ahead and create our background object. Now we're going to be using Adobe XD to create our background object. Now I usually don't make tutorials on Adobe XD or Figma, but I thought I would just include it in this video. Now, as mentioned, you can either use Adobe XD or Figma. So open up a blank Adobe XD document, and then once you have that done, we're going to go ahead and add an artboard. So click on your little artboard icon here, and we're going to be doing a desktop of 1920 by 1080. So go ahead and click on that, and there we have it. So for some reason I have this grid on here already. Let me remove this so I can go over that later on. Okay, now let's go back and click on our marquee tool here. And from here, let's click on our artboard and then go into the grid and go ahead and check that. And yours should be set to layout, but make sure you switch it to square. And the square size should be 16. Now for right now, I'm going to remove it. And then I'm going to click on the rectangle tool here. And we're going to go ahead and just drag something in. Make sure you hold it in. Let's make it fit this artboard here. There we go. Now we can move the border. We don't really need this. We can leave the color white. That's fine. Make sure that you have your rectangle object selected. Now go ahead and drag your image that I've provided in the description, or you can use any image that you'd like. Disclaimer, this image is from one of Elementor's templates, and it's a template that we're going to be using in this tutorial. Now that we have that set, go ahead and click on your marquee tool here and then click on your background object. And for right now, we're going to go ahead and lock this. So go ahead and right click it and then click lock, and there we go. Now I'm going to be using a shortcut for that later on in the future in case I need to lock anything, but I just wanted to show that in case you don't know how to just lock it there. Okay. And then another thing that we're going to do is, you know what? Before we lock this, actually, let's go ahead and make this a 0%. Or you know what? I think we can go, let's lock this. And then let's go into our layers here. And I believe we can hide that for now. We'll be using that later on. So let's go ahead and click on your board here. And let's add our grid again. Make sure that it's set to 16. And let's zoom in a little bit. And in case you don't know how to zoom in, you can just press the Option key. And then you can just use your scroller on your mouse. So let's zoom in a little more, and I believe this should be fine. Okay, so let's add our objects here. So the first one is going to be pretty simple. We're just going to grab a square, and I'm going to hold down Shift. And then I'm just going to drag this as I hold on my mouse. And you know what? One thing I want to do before I actually start to create more objects here is I want everything to align properly. So see how we have this little cut into one of our squares here. So let's click on our board and then let's just move this up a bit. So let's grab this and just bring it up right here to the line. There we go. So we can make everything even. Now let's click on our box here and let's just push it up. There we go. Now our box object here should be 16, or sorry, our box object here should be 12 by 12 what does that mean? 12 by 12. So 12 by 12 squares. So basically horizontally and then vertically. Okay. So let's go ahead and count this out. It should be 12 though, around there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so let's drag this a bit more. So that's 10, or sorry, that's 11, and then that's 12. And it should be even on every side anyway, but we can double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so that's perfect. Alrighty, so now let's go ahead and add a color to this. And for right now, we're not really going to focus on the color too much. We're just going to focus on the shape of the object. So let's remove our border here. Make sure you click on your object and then uncheck your border. And then we're just going to be using very light gray here for now. And we'll save this just by clicking this plus here so we can use it. So now let's go ahead and click on your object, on your border radius. We're going to do, let's see here. We're going to go ahead and adjust one of the edges. So I believe we can do 100. Let's see how that works. Or you know what? Instead of this one here, do it on every side except the bottom right there. So let's leave that back to 0. And then let's do 120 for the rest of them, except for our bottom right. Oh, let's leave that. This one at 0. And let's do 120. Okay, now that works perfectly. That's totally fine. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and add a circle here. We'll do the more complex ones later on. So let's add a circle. Just click on your circle tool there. And then just hold shift and then drag it. I don't know what it is on the Windows, but I'm sure you can figure it out there. Okay, so just make sure that we have it aligned properly to this one. And it looks like it is, and that's great. So we're going to remove the border. And then we're going to add our gray color there. And going to make sure that this aligns properly. Now we're going to adjust these anyway later on, but just want to add a little more objects here. So from here, let's go ahead and add one above. So let's copy this one actually. In order to copy something, just hold down Option and then just drag it. And then make sure you let go of it on your mouse first while you're clicking. And then now let go of Option. Okay. So from here, let's make sure that we align this properly. And now we're going to go ahead and leave our top left 0. You know what? Actually, no. It's going to be let's leave our top left to 120. And we're going to do our top right is going to be set to 0. There we go. And then our bottom right is going to be set to 120. And then our bottom left is going to be set to 0. There we go. So it looks more like a lemon. Okay. Okay, so now let's copy our circle here. We're going to do another circle. And don't worry, we're going to move this around in a bit. So just hold on Option and also click at the same time and then just drag it right up. Now from here, go ahead and drag this one. Let's copy this one again. Let's drag it so it lines up properly. And now we're going to do, we're going to leave the top 120 on both sides. And then the bottom, both sides, is going to be set to 0. There we go. Now I believe we pretty much did all the easy ones. Now we just need the other ones that are, I wouldn't say that complicated, but they're going to take a little more time, I would say. So let's copy the circle here actually. And we're just going to split this circle right now. So we're going to split it right down the middle. So let's go ahead and click on our rectangle tool. And then let's just add a rectangle here, drag it down, and then go ahead and remove the border, and then we can just add a random fill. It doesn't really matter. We're going to end up cutting through that anyway. And then now, go ahead and select both of them just by highlighting it, just like this. So now you've selected both objects. And then we want to go ahead and click on the second one here, subtract. Now we have a half circle. Now let's go ahead and copy this one just by holding Option and then dragging it. There we go. Okay, so now that's perfect. Now we're almost done here. We're going to move these into the right spot here in a bit. We just need one more object to create here. Now this one is going to be a circle as well. So let's drag a circle, except this one is going to be a pretty large circle. So, and then we're going to split it. So basically we're going to just drag it until it lines up with, make sure you hold shift while you're dragging it. And then make sure it just lines up with our other object here. right? So we need to do one more so it lines up properly. There we go. Okay. So now what we need to do is just split this one, and we're going to go ahead and just split it right down the middle. So let's add our rectangle tool just like I did there, and then set this to the middle of this object here, which it looks like it is. And then now let's go ahead and split this, subtract it here. There we go. And then now we're going to do this. We're going to do this a few more times here. I think we just need to do this one more time actually. So let's go ahead and grab a rectangle here and then just add it right here. So it's like half of it right there. And then go ahead and go into your marquee tool and then select both of them. And then now let's subtract it here. There we go. But you don't want it like this. So I'm going to actually bring it down. So I'm going to rotate it. So make sure you hold shift and then just drag it all the way down until you have it about to here, just like this. Okay. All right. Now we're going to actually move these in place and duplicate some of them. So for right now, let's move these around here and let's grab these two. Let's actually group them. So what you could do to group them is you can highlight them and then Command G to group if you need to, or you can just right click it. And then now we can drag it all the way down here to the corner. There we go. And then let's grab this object here, and that's perfect. And then we're going to go ahead and move our circle, add our circle right next to it. And then we're going to drag this one to the top and then grab this object here and let's just add it right in here. There we go. Now we're going to drag this lemon object and we're going to add it right above this one here. There we go. And I'm going to grab the circle, put it right over here next to this one. And then this one here, we're going to drag it right here. There we go. And then we're just going to duplicate this one. And then we're going to hold down shift and we're just going to twist it this way here. There we go. And then we're going to place it right here. And that should be fine. Okay, so now we have our object basically done. We just need to add some coloring to it. So what I'm going to do is I want different shades of the green that we're going to be using. So I'm going to go into a color shade generator. Now go into your web browser and then go into Google or any search engine and then just type in color shades generator. Or you can just click the link in the description. I'll actually provide this. Now go ahead and add your color in here. Now I will provide this color in the description, but all it is the number sign C9EB55. I'm sure you guys can see that there. Okay. Now let's go ahead and just grab a few shades here that we're going to be using. So let's go ahead and choose this one here. Just by clicking on it, you can copy it. And then now, let's go to remove this grid actually. We don't need this grid anymore. So let's go ahead and add it to this lemon here. Change the color to this one there. To actually save it if we need to. I feel like we might need to save that color. Now it doesn't actually look great right now. So you know what? Let's, instead of doing this first, let's go back to our layers here. And let's make sure we have this object visible now. Okay, now it's going to make more sense. And then let's go ahead and actually group all these here. You know what? We'll do it later. We'll set the opacity to this a little bit later. So let's go ahead and click on this lemon here. Go to your fill object and let's add that green color. That should be good. Now it's going to look a little different once we start to add the opacity on that. We're going to add that shade right now. And then let's go ahead and use this one here. And let's add this one. Let's add it to the circle. It's lighter. This one's a little bit lighter. There we go. So let's save this green because I kind of want to use it around. I'm just going to click around and just start to use it where I think it should go. So right here, we're going to use this one here, that one there. This one, we'll use this one here. Click on this object. If it's grouped, just double click it. And then let's grab this color here. Actually, we can save it anyway. And then let's add it to this one here. Do this one. And then we just need, I believe, oh yeah, this one here should be, it should be a little darker one. So let's do, I believe it's this one here. Yeah, let's do that one. Then now let's grab this shade here, or this shade. I think it's this one. Let's grab this one. And then let's go ahead and change that color to this. Let's add it on here so we can just click on the remaining ones and then add this last color here. There we go. Now let's go ahead and adjust opacity on this. So we want to group this and then adjust opacity. So go ahead and click on each object, and then while you're clicking on it, hold shift as well. Or what you could do is since this one is locked, we can just highlight all of this just by dragging this here. and then we can just click Command G just to group it, or you can right click it. There we go. So now that's set. Make sure that's set obviously to the bottom corner. So now click on this object and set this to about 71. I believe we're gonna have it to about, doesn't really matter honestly. Actually, you can set it to this because on Elementor we can just adjust opacity. So let's do that instead. I feel like that's gonna be much better. So let's leave it like this, and then on Elementor we'll just adjust the opacity on this, and it'll look great. So that's pretty much how you create this object. Let's go ahead and actually export this just in case you don't know how to do that. And I definitely recommend that you export this object as an SVG. That is super important. Make sure that's an SVG just so then we can have the quality remain on the object. So click on it and then go into File, Export, and make sure that you have it selected, and then just export selected. So we want to export the one that's being selected right now, and then set this as an SVG, name it whatever you would like, click export, and then we should be good to go. So now for the interesting part, let's go ahead and add our background object. So I'm just using an Elementor Pro template, and the template that I'm using here is called Online Training Homepage. So it's this one here, in case you guys are wondering. Now I highly recommend that you follow along and you just use this Elementor Pro template. If you don't have Elementor Pro, don't worry, you can still follow along, just use a different background image. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and begin here. So go ahead and add a section, make sure that it has one column, and then on your section, make sure that your content width, this part's very important, that it's set to full width, okay? And then make sure that your column gap is set to no gap. Now go into your elements, and then go ahead and drag your intersection into your column here. Now, if the container feature was fully released, this would be a lot easier and we wouldn't have to use intersections. But we're just gonna have to work with what we have. But in case you're watching this and the container update is already out, then you can just go ahead and use the same method. Instead of an inner column, just go ahead and use a container. Okay, so now click on your main section, go into Advanced, and then set your padding to rem. Go ahead and unselect this, and let's add some padding from the top. We're gonna do 15 rem, and then bottom 15 rem as well. Now I know that some of you guys may be wondering, we could just go into our section here and go into our layout and add a minimum height. Now if we do this, the effect isn't gonna work. Currently, for some reason, it doesn't work properly. So we're gonna have to just use padding at the top and the bottom for now, okay? So let's go ahead and remove this column here, and we have our intersection just set with one column. Alrighty, so now let's edit our intersection. So click on your intersection, and you're gonna also set this to full width as well. Now you don't really need to do no gap, it's not really that important, and everything else is fine now. So what we're gonna do now is I'm just gonna copy this text here, and I'm gonna paste it right on my column in here, in my inner column, I should say. So just copy this and then paste it right in here. Now, if you don't have Elementor Pro, you don't have this template, just go ahead and try to create this as best as you can. Okay, now let's just do the same thing here. Copy this one and then paste it down here. Now, for those of you that don't have Elementor Pro, if you click on here and then you go to Advanced, you see that the width is set to 465 pixels. Now let's copy our button and let's paste that down here. Okay, that's looking good there. Now let's add our image. So click on your main section, go into your style, and then go ahead and click on your background. We're going to be using the same background that we're using in this section here. So just click on your section, go to your background, and then choose that image. Now, if you don't have Elementor Pro, you can just choose any image. Let's set the positioning to the center, and let's set this to cover. And then let's go into our background overlay. Set a background color of black. Let's set this to 0.55. There we go. Now, before we even add our background object, let's go ahead and add some spacing to this intersection here. So first of all, let's actually start off with our intersection column. So let's click on this column here. Let's go into Advanced, and we're just going to add some simple custom CSS. So just click on Advanced, go into custom CSS, and let's add a media query here. So we're going to do @media, brackets here, oval shape brackets. And then we're going to do a minimum width, colon, 1024. And basically 1024 is our tablet breakpoint. So we're saying anything above 1024, we want this style to activate. So basically, we're only setting this up for desktop. So let's target the selector, which is our column here. Now, if you're not using Elementor Pro, what you can do is just give this a class of maybe of anything, section, object section, or whatever you want to call it. Just give it a class name, and then go ahead and change the selector to your class name, and then add this CSS script either on your theme customizer, or if you're using a code snippet, just add it in there. Okay, but for right now, we're just going to be doing selector, and let's just target the width colon, and I believe the width we're going to let's do about 60 rem. Okay, so that's pretty good. Now let's click on our section here, our intersection, and then go into advanced, and let's click on rem, unselect this, and from the left side we're going to do 5. There we go. So it's at least kind of lined up with our other content. We can maybe do 5 or 4. Let's do 4 for now. That's fine. Now we don't really need this anymore, but for right now I'm just going to shift this to the bottom. Alrighty. So this looks pretty good. The only thing is that we need to add our background object here, which is the main purpose of this entire video. So now that we've set this up, we can add our background object. So what we need to do is go into your elements and then drag an image. Now you can try to drag it down here, and if you can, go ahead and do so. But you see how it's kind of difficult to add it under there. So we're just going to drag it into our inner column for now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to drag our image, and we're going to drag it right above our intersection. And then we're going to go ahead and close this. Make sure that you have your navigator open. We're going to close this intersection, and then we're just going to drag it under it. Go ahead and choose our background object that we created. I've uploaded it. Just make sure you upload it. And in case you can't upload an SVG, let me actually go into the WordPress dashboard here to show you, just in case. We just need to install a plugin and activate it in order for us to upload SVGs, in case you can't do that. And the plugin that you want to be using is SVG support. Okay, so just go ahead and activate that. All right, now select your background object. Let's go ahead and add that in. Now, of course, right now it doesn't look the best, but we just need to make some adjustments. So go into advanced on your image, set the width to inline, and then your position, set it to absolute, and make sure your horizontal alignment is set to the left, and your vertical orientation is set to the bottom. So we made a little mistake here. So instead of adding our padding to our section here, we actually need to add it to our column. So let's go ahead and remove the padding that we have on our main section. Let's just remove that, reset it. And then what we need to do is add the same padding to our main column here. And that's going to get everything to align properly. So go to advanced, and then go to rem, unselect this. Let's do 15 from the top, and then 15 from the bottom. So as you can see, now it's aligning properly. And that's why that's super important. So now what we need to do is have our content here above our object. So let's click on our intersection. Let's go to advanced, and our z-index should be set to 2, and then our object z-index should be set to 0. Okay. Now obviously our object is still kind of vibrant, and we need to maybe lower down the opacity. So let's go into the style, and let's adjust our opacity here, and let's set it maybe to about 0.24. That should be good there. So as you can see now, it's looking very nice. Just to go over this a bit more here, if we went ahead and just added a section, and we ended up just adding all the content in here, and we didn't add an intersection, right? And we just went ahead and did it this way. We went and did this, right? And then we went over, got our image here. We chose our object. We chose our object here, and we set this to inline, absolute. And as you can see, we're not getting this to align properly. Now I know, obviously you can just, let me just make this a little bit bigger. Obviously you can just adjust your your horizontal orientation and your vertical orientation as well. So we can just adjust this, and yeah, we can try to put it maybe over here, and you try to set this up right here. And as you can tell, whenever we expand this out, it's not gonna move right to the edge and be right at the bottom there where we need it to be. It is at the bottom, and that's fine there. That does work, but it's very, very hard to set this properly, because now you see if we expand this, it's not going to get pushed anymore, right? And that's why we have this issue. And I know that a lot of you guys have probably come across this, where you just try to make it fit right at the corner, but we just can't get it to be responsive. It doesn't work, right? And that's why you need to do it this way. That's why you need to make sure that you go ahead and actually add an intersection. So I just wanted to go over that really quick, just to kind of further my point. So last thing, let's go ahead and just make it responsive on tablet and mobile. So first of all, let's just make sure that it is responsive on desktop completely. So let's go ahead and see how this looks here. And let's click inspect. Now, as you can see, we have a responsive object now. Whenever we shrink this, it's going to go ahead and go along with our width here. And it's going to stick to the corner. It's not going to be getting cut out or anything like that. It's going to work properly. So looks to be good on tablet as well, and desktop, on pretty much any size on desktop. And let's just make some more adjustments here. So let's go into tablet, and we can just remove some of the spacing that we added on here. So let's click on our intersection, and let's just remove that spacing. Let's maybe do 1 rem and on the left side and 1 rem on the right side. There we go. So that should be good there. Now, I do want to go over, in case you do want to adjust your width of this and you want to make it larger and you just want it to kind of cut through, you can do that as well. It's not something I recommend, but you can. But as you can tell, this image isn't the biggest, so it's not going to go all the way. We'll probably do this on mobile just to give you guys an idea. So this looks good on tablet. You can see we can expand it and it still looks great. Then we can go into mobile. And the only thing that we need to adjust is our height here. So let's go into our main column here. And let's go ahead and remove our current padding that we have. And let's go ahead and set this up to about 9 rem from the top and bottom. 9 and then 9. There we go. Okay, so that looks great. And our padding on each side is fine. We can do one rem on each side for our intersection. That's great as well. But you can adjust that accordingly. So let's say we wanted to go ahead and make our width of our object a little bit larger. So let's go into custom, and we can expand this. As you can see, we can expand it all the way to here. Now it is getting cut out right here, and that can be an issue, obviously, because if for some reason it's not doing it right now, but I know that we're going to have an issue here. If I go to mobile, we're going to have some extra space on the side. Right, let's see here. I mean, you can see it there. It's acting up right now. Let me go ahead and open up the preview window again here. Sometimes it just does that. And okay, so now if we go ahead and just shift this, we can see that we have this ugly space here that we don't need. So we just need to go ahead and set our overflow to hidden, and we just need to do it to this section. So just do it to the main section here. Click on it, this one here. Go into layout, and then just set the overflow to hidden, and we shouldn't have that issue anymore. There we go. So we just have that cut off, and we don't have that space now. And as you can tell, everything's fine. It just glitches out sometimes like that. Alrighty. So everything's fine there. We can expand this pretty much where we want it. I don't know why I did that weird glitch there, but sometimes it does stuff like that. There we go. And there we have it. It works great on any size, as we can see. I know that is the most important part. How do we make this responsive, right? So that's probably what a lot of you guys struggle with. But hopefully in this video, you have a better idea how you should be positioning your background objects. I don't think I've seen a video on this anywhere actually. But once you start to understand CSS and how things really work, you'll kind of have a better idea on how you should go about doing stuff like this. So that's pretty much it for this video. If you guys do have any questions, just feel free to comment down below. I may have other videos like this coming out real soon. We're probably gonna do background objects, but maybe I'm thinking of having one in the middle, and maybe having like a one that's kind of cut off. And I'll go ahead and probably upload that pretty soon. So let me know if you do want to see a video like that, and just comment down below. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.